Hi there, I'm Miss Dana. I'm one of the cosmetology educators here at the Avenue Academy. Today I'm going to be demoing the haircut portion for the state board test. So the first section of your state board test is the thermal curling, and this one will be the same client, so she will already be draped. Before I get started, if you'll notice, I make sure that the drape is not touching the client's skin at all. So you want to make sure that your barrier underneath is above it so that the cape is not touching the mannequin's head. All right, and I've got my hand sanitizer and we're going to get started. I will reach into my kit and I will pull out my supplies for hair cutting. I have my shears, my razor, my water bottle. There are extra clips just in case we drop some, and extra combs in case we drop some. Okay, sanitize my hands. We're always going to sanitize our hands before we touch the client after reaching into our kits. First thing we're going to do is we're going to spray down the hair. It doesn't have to be sopping wet. We can go back through later if we need to, but just get through it quickly. Okay, we are going to section the mannequin's hair. Nice clean sections. Two in the front and two in the back. And while I'm sectioning the back one, I'm going to go ahead and drop my first subsection to save time. And I will show you what that looks like in just a second. Okay, I'm going to turn this around so that you can see those sections. So I have them down at the ear, these two in the back, and I've already dropped my subsection. So I'm going to go ahead and turn her to the side and work this way. Now at state board, my stuff would normally be up here, but for this video, I want you to be able to see the movements that I'm doing with this haircut, okay? So we're going to hand sanitize. I'm going to go through and I'm going to spray this one because it did not get sprayed and I did it. The first section is going to be done with your razor, your feathering razor. The first few sections. So with the razor, we are always cutting above our fingers. We're going to go in and we're going to do our 0 degree first. And we are just going to push that razor into the hair. Drop that hair and start that 0 guide. We want to make sure that when we're not cutting, while we're combing, this feather razor is pointed out towards us and not the client. That's how we palm the razor. So notice while I am combing through the hair, that feather portion is pointing backwards towards me, and then when I get ready to cut, I change it back. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and go into my next section. Again, making sure that razor is facing backwards towards me while I am sectioning. It is a client safety thing, and you will be dinged on it major points if you are not palming the razor correctly. Give her a little spritz. Okay, so we did our 0. Now we're gonna come and we're gonna do our 45 degrees. So I am bringing the comb sideways, and I'm getting some of that guide down here at the bottom. And again, we are going to cut above our fingers and away from our body. Pie sections, 45 degrees. And I'm following it around the side of the head. So see how I'm combing sideways, my guide, and then cutting that hair off. Nice quick movements. We're not coming in and chopping at the hair like this. We're just cutting it off quickly. Chomp, chomp. Okay. So really, it's just gonna be your 0 and your 45 that you're using that razor for. And then once you get to this outwards 90, that's where you're gonna switch to the shears. So again, taking my subsections. And notice that the way that I'm palming my shears. When you go to state board, you are not allowed to palm your shears down like this. That is not allowed. So if you're someone that gets in the habit of doing this, you need to start practicing palming it like this. So while you're in cutting stance, you have your pinky on the tang, ring finger in the hole, thumb in the hole. You're gonna just simply take that thumb out and palm them in your shears like this. Okay? So give her a little spritz. So now we are gonna come out. When you guys are doing this haircut, you are cutting at the angles where the comb can be flat on the head. So down here at our 0, it's down straight 0. Down here under that occipital bone is at a 45, that's our cutting angle. Right here, it's the 90 straight out, because that's where this comb can lay flat up and down. I always start in the middle on my state board haircut. So we're gonna pull this straight out, this angle, okay? And we're not gonna cut past our second knuckle. And I'm gonna follow that guide from before. Okay, palming my shears, I'm going to bring down my next section. Okay, so if now this is the way our angle is, that's the angle that we're going to cut at. So we're going to start bringing up that guide. So we can see my guide. Bring it up. This is that 135. We are going to complete the whole back of the head before we move to the sides of the head. Okay, so first I'm going to pull out at that 135. And then up on the top of the head, because the hair comes straight out of the head, if we see this flat comb, laying it on the head flat, that is going to be our new cutting angle up here, which is our 180 degree. So 135. And the 180. And again, making sure to pay attention to not cutting past that second knuckle. Okay, so now we have very nice graduated haircut here in the back. Now we're gonna move on to the sides. Let's turn her so you guys can see. This is the part that confuses people because they want it to look like a uniform cut, and it's gonna, with this particular cut, it's gonna be longer in the back than it is in the front. Because we're cutting at all of the angles, we're not starting with that 0 on the side or with the 45 because we don't grow hair in this area. So the first one we're gonna start with is that 90 degree. So I'm gonna go ahead and subsection. Spray. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab some of the hair from that back section that I just finished working on, because that's gonna give me my guide. So we can see this little hair right here. It doesn't need to be a big section. If it's easier, you can take a bigger section so that you can have that guide clear. But now this guide is right here. So we are going to use that, and we're pulling straight out of the head, and we're going to match that up. So then we have our guide straight out and cut that off. Next section. Okay, find your guide. Pulling straight out. Okay, we're gonna move up to that 135 and see now here, this is all straight. When I move up to that 135, now we have hair again, and that needs to come off. Okay, drop this last one out of the clip. And now we are moving into that 180, straight up and down. Okay, and then in the front of the head, on the sides, this angle is back at that 135, right? So in the very front, we need to make sure, and I want to show you guys from the side so that you can see it. If we're going straight up and down, I have it's even across the top. But now if I go out at that 135, because that's where the hair is growing out, we have this right here. They're gonna check for that tag. They wanna make sure that you know the true angles, so that has to come off. So just up here, even, but the hair in the front of the head grows out this way. So we're gonna just match that up now at that 135. And then I'm gonna check the side over here. Now you won't be moving your stand around like I am. I'm doing that for video purposes. I wanna come and check that 135, and I just have a little bit right there. Okay, so now you can see it's shorter right here, and it falls into the back, and it uniformly blends, okay? So just quick check, make sure that everything looks good throughout. Then I'll move to the other side. So again, remember, we're gonna grab a section, let me spray her. And notice when I'm doing the sides of the face, I'm not spraying like this because I don't want to spray my client in the face. So I'm spraying backwards and combing that hair backwards. Okay, so again, we're gonna grab a little bit from our back section and a little bit from our new front section. And there's my length. We're going to chop that off. And now we have our new guide, and we're gonna continue on pulling this hair out. Take a smaller section so that you can clearly see my guide. I can see it from back here, but I don't know if the camera can. So, okay, so now here's my guide. Again, hair comes straight out from the side of the head. Okay, straight out, find your guide, snip. Okay, now we're gonna move up to that 135. And the last section. Is that 180. Bring it straight up. And then when I grab from my other side, if we pull straight up, we have an even cut on top. Okay, last but not least, go back in and do that 135 in the front again. Make sure we have a nice uniform haircut. Over to this side as well. Just making sure all of our bases are covered. Okay. And now you have that nice uniform graduated haircut. I will show you from behind. So it's nice, cute feathering around the front, nice layers in the back, heavy, heavy layered cut. Now, once you finish cutting, you're gonna stand back and to indicate that you are finished. You are not gonna clean up any hair until they tell you to do so. They will come and they will ask to see your comb to check the haircut, and then they are going to ask you to clean up the hair afterwards. Okay, well, this has been our State Board haircut. So if you have any questions, you can reach out to us, and I hope you enjoy your day.